Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Gillian Barry, and today we have an amazing guest in store for you guys. She is beautiful. Her name is Whitney, and she recently completed a 90-day juice cleanse. That's right. She drank nothing but juice, and we're going to find out, was her experience amazing? Was it dreadful? How was it? Let's get right into it. Hey Whitney, how's it going? You're so gorgeous.
Thank you. It's going well. I'm in the refeeding process right now. So things are really crazy because when I started my journey, I didn't plan for the end. And just to give you a rundown of like how it all started. So back in 2016 was when I was introduced to health. And because of, body aches that was unexplained, and they eventually diagnosed it as fibromyalgia. So for about, I want to say it was a couple of months, that I was like bedridden from body aches. So I decided to take my health into my own hands because the medication wasn't working. Everything they advised me to do wasn't really working. So I decided to go on a raw vegan diet. So I didn't, set any expiration date on it or anything like that. I just said that I was going to eat raw until the pain went away.
Wow.
And so within a month, the pain went away and I was like completely fine. But COVID hit. So just to bring it back a little bit, when COVID hit, I was like actively in the gym. I had like a healthy lifestyle. Everything was great, but COVID hit. So that kind of knocked me off of my fitness journey. Also, I had an extremely bad accident. So I burnt my face completely. I was in the kitchen cooking and something, I was cooking, I think it was CMOS, to be honest. And it was hot, and I put it in the blender with hot water and I blended it, and the pressure built up and it exploded in my face. It was like a gunshot, like in my face.
Whoa.
And my face, I had second and third degree burns, like covering my face. So I went into a state of depression, and they wouldn't let me go to the hospital because of everything that was going on at that time. So I had to like care for myself at home. I couldn't go outside because keep in mind, it was the summertime when it hit, which was in April. It was going into summertime. And it was just a lot going on. So I fell off my health journey. I wasn't working out. I was like eating unhealthy. But at the same time, I was trying to promote health on my YouTube channel because I was so used to doing that. So I kind of felt like I wasn't really taking the right steps because I'm promoting health, but at the same time, I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle due to like depression and all of that. And so all the body aches came back and the weight gain came on, and I just wanted to feel healthy. So I decided to go on a juice fast. Keep in mind, I fell many times. Like if I had to put a number on it, I would say at least 30 times I failed at trying to juice fast. And so what really ultimately got me there was I ended up getting fed up with myself. I was like so disgusted with myself, and I end up just starting my journey. And I said, the goal is to, try to make it to 30 days. And so the goal was 30 days. And I would say around week 3 was when I noticed that, like, okay, I'm gonna make it to day 30. And when I made it to day 30, that's when I decided to go to day 90. And then I started vlogging my experience. So it was like amazing because a lot of my support came from people who were commenting. So they thought that I was supporting them, but in reality, they were my motivation. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. So I was able to, vlog that along the way. And it was a lot of ups and downs, detox symptoms. I'm pretty sure you're going to ask questions about that. But it was a journey that I don't regret. And I probably will do it again.
Wow, what a story,
Yeah.
Whitney. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So I got to backtrack a bit to these burns. You look
Okay.
like I don't see these burns. How did you
Oh,
heal these burns?
oh yeah. So that was a journey in itself, which I posted some content on it, but it was just, I contacted a dermatologist, and surprisingly, they wanted me to do it the natural way. So typically you would think that they would
Yeah.
prescribe you something to, heal the burns, but she was like, no, just use Vaseline, get you a good sunscreen, and just do it naturally. And she was just giving me tips on it. And it was like a virtual appointment that I was having with this doctor, but she wanted me to go all natural. To be honest, the only thing that she prescribed me was medicine for the allergic reaction, because when I tried to do it myself, I used aloe vera plant to kind of heal the burns, and I'm allergic to it. I didn't know. So my face broke out on top of the burns. So
Wow.
it was a nightmare, like literally a nightmare. So she really helped me through that journey, and it was a lot of exfoliation. So I had to exfoliate my face. I would say anybody who's dealing with discoloration from burns or anything of that nature, exfoliation is the answer. It is like a slow process, like, so you're not going to see like results immediately, but over a span of weeks and months, you do see major improvement to the point where the spots start to like turn back to your regular skin tone. And it took
It's
a couple of, yeah, it took some time. I would say
yeah, but wow.
a little over a year for my skin to get completely back to where it was. Now I still had my typical, natural discoloration in my face, but the juice fast helped with that. Yeah, the
Wow.
juice fast stepped in and finished the job, to be honest.
Well, it just goes to show to give people hope. Like you can get
Yeah.
through things like even burns. I have a friend who had a bad car accident a couple years ago.
Oh, wow.
I think it was like a year and a half ago now, and she's still dealing with some burns, but she's healed a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing what the body can do. And it sounds like you've been through some stuff. Like you've been through
Yeah.
some dark times. Do you feel like maybe this all happened for a reason and a purpose? Like, sometimes it takes a matter of time for us to get to a point where we're like, okay, I see why that happened now. Are you there? Do you feel like there's some purpose in it? And do you feel like you have any advice for anybody out there who might currently be going through those hard times and like they're not on the other side yet?
I do feel like it's purpose in it, but I feel like you never realize it until you get closer to the end and you look at it in retrospect. It's hard to really see the purpose while you're going through it. So I wouldn't advise anyone to say, see the purpose in the journey, because you're not going to see it necessarily until you start to really see benefits. And
Mhm.
that's when you realize it's a purpose in it. Advice that I would give that I would give someone who's dealing with anything as far as like health issues, burns, anything that you're dealing with, I would advise to like really start as soon as possible. Some people wait, when something happens, like when I burnt my face, I started the healing journey immediately. So as it would naturally heal on its own anyway, stepped in and kind of helped with that process. Had I not done that and I would have waited a year and just accepted the discoloration all over my face, I would have, I don't know if I would have got the same results. You know what I mean? So I think it's very important to not wait for months and years and weeks to like start your healing journey. The sooner, the better. It does not have to be like I notice a lot of stories that I hear, and it's not to like, because anybody who starts a healing journey, that's wonderful. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think I see a lot of people who say, I was sick for this amount of years, and then I started doing this, and then I got better. And it's like, you really can't cut down on all of those years just by starting immediately. So that
True.
would be my advice. I'm the type of person, I'm not like get it quick, but if I can cut it from 15 years or 20 years to like 2 years or 1 year, I'm going to do
Yeah.
that. It's a major difference there.
That's
Yeah.
such a good point. No matter what you're dealing
Yeah.
with, it's better to just like take the action. It's like when my last daughter was born, my abs split by like 4 finger widths. Yeah, I got diastasis
Oh,
recti, it's called. Apparently, it's common
mhm.
with like if you have multiple children, and I do. And so they split by that, and then they got really weak. Because so like if I eat, sometimes like they protrude because I haven't done the work to close the gap. She was
Oh,
born 4 years ago. So I think it would have
wow.
been much easier for me to close the gap if I started
Mhm.
4 years ago. I would have had the gap closed. So go do whatever is like
Yes.
in front of you guys. Well,
Start
let's
early.
talk about the Juice Fest. So what led you to do Juice Fest? What first inspired you and how did you get started? How did you prepare?
I heard so much about it. I wasn't a believer, to be honest. I wasn't a believer of juice fasting. Keep in mind, I did raw vegan diets, and of course, it worked for me as far as like the body weight goes. So I know that raw foods like lower the inflammation in your body and naturally allows your cells to repair itself and resolve whatever health issues that you have. But I didn't feel like the juice fast was much different than a raw diet. So I really didn't want to embark on that journey. But at the same time, I'm just like, that was something I never tried. And I don't know if I will get a different result from doing that, because it's a difference from solid food and liquids. Like, does liquid, is a major difference in that healing journey. So I decided
Mhm.
to embark on it. Keep in mind, I failed multiple times. You know what I mean? But I finally didn't put an expiration date on it. So that would be something else I would advise people to not do, because if you want to go on a 90-day juice fast, that's fine. But when you put that expiration date on it, it seems so far out that when you're on day 1 or day 7, it just seems impossible, especially when you're dealing with like detox symptoms and all of that. And day 1 through day 30 was the worst for me. Like, it was no improvement. Everything, like the existing symptoms were intensified. I had headaches, I had cramps, I had loose stools, I had body aches like in random places, ice pick headaches. Like it was just so much that was happening within that month that I wanted to give up. But when I started doing research, a lot of people were like, I felt better by week 2, I felt better by week 3. And it was like I was already on the end of week 3 and I did not feel better. So I don't know what made me push through at the end of week 3, but I did because I'm like, I got this far. Let me just take it a little bit further. If I don't feel, great by the end of month 2, I will quit. And I didn't start vlogging my journey, to be honest, until day 35, because day 1 through 30, I didn't think I was gonna make it. And so once I got to day 35 and I started to see the benefits, I was like, wow. And I'm pretty sure that when the benefits does show up, it's so quiet. Like you don't really see it happening. You just one day sitting down and you're like, wait, I don't feel that pain anymore.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I feel, lighter. I don't feel, I get better sleep at night. It's not something you're going to notice immediately. It's something that you kind of notice after, it has faded away for a while and you're like reflecting on, past weeks or whatever. So it was a lot that went into day 1 through day 30 that was like, I would encourage anybody when you're dealing with symptoms, the first 4 weeks. And it could be longer depending on what type of health issues you have to stick it out, because sometimes you won't feel better until closer to the end, or even in the refeeding process. That was something else, because now that I'm in this refeeding process, I'm really starting to feel even more of the benefits now that the fast is over. So sometimes you may feel crappy the entire juice fast. And once you get to that refeeding process, you realize like, oh, okay, so now my body is like really showing me all these benefits now that I cleaned it.
Yeah. And so what helped you stay through those first like hard times, those 30 days? What kept you going? Like any tips for anybody? Like how did you stay on track?
The pain. Like I didn't have any other option. Like if I didn't stick with that, what else do I have? So that was number 1. Number 2 was I heard a lot of testimonies on your channel, matter of fact.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, talked about detox symptoms. And it's just like sometimes you really have to push past that. And I think as humans, we tend to give up quickly. And I just didn't want to be that person. Like I already had it in my head, prior to starting my journey, that Whitney, you will have detox symptoms. Your existing symptoms will probably be intensified. So you have to expect that. And I just didn't know how long it would last. I think that was my biggest concern, not the fact that I would feel maybe a little worse in the beginning, but it was mainly not knowing how long it would last. So
Mhm.
once I realized it was like the end of week 3, I told myself that, I am going to wait to the end of month 2. And if I still feel bad, I may just back up from it. But then by month 2, I started to feel better. So it kind of worked itself out.
Good. And you're patient. You are
Yeah, I
so
am.
patient. Most people would
Yeah.
not stick through to month 2. I'm lucky. When I started my juice fast, I started to feel really good by day 3 or 4. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if I would have the patience to go
But
through
you know
month 2.
what makes you stick with it though? Another thing is when you're in pain, you'll be surprised how far you
True.
would go to feel better when all of your options has already been exhausted. Yeah. So you don't really know how far you would really take it or what you would do to really get the results that you want. So I feel like if I didn't feel bad, I probably wouldn't have waited that long. I don't know, but because I felt like all of my options were already explored, I just didn't know. I just had to stick with it, to be honest.
Yeah. And I love
Yeah.
what you said about not putting an expiration date on it, not
Right.
putting a number. Cause when I first started mine recently, I was like, I'm going to do 60 days. And then I was telling people in my story on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
And then just the pressure, it almost made me feel like I had to do 60 days. And then as humans, I think we don't like that pressure. And then I started feeling
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't want to do 60 days because I feel like I have to do it. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I think it's
Yeah.
better. And then I ended up doing 14 days and then 10 days because what I was dealing with, it fixed way quicker than I expected to. And I felt amazing. But so I want to ask, like, how has this juice cleanse changed your life?
Oh my gosh, so many benefits. I would say one of the things that I was not expecting, keep in mind, I was like dealing with a lot of like family issues. Like my brother is schizophrenic. So it was a lot of family issues there, a lot of trauma, like just trying to go through the motions. And he's in denial. So it was a lot of issues there trying to, with him having episodes. Also, me still trying to heal myself, having PTSD about certain things. And it was just a lot going on. And I just wanted to, when I got on this juice fast, it really was to just focus on the physical part of it. But then I realized that it really helped me mentally, because I was a very depressed, like always down, always stressed out, to the point where, other people were starting to like feel it, and so I realized that it improved my, mood tremendously. Like,
Yeah.
that was something I wasn't expecting. Like, I'm a much happier person. Even when I'm having a bad day, it's so short-lived, as opposed to just being all day. It just completely ruined my day. It's not like that anymore. So
Yeah.
I would say that. And just generally, lowering the inflammation in my body.
Yeah, I want to say it because I think a lot of people go into it like you did. A lot of people go into it to try fix health things and things like that. And then we get
Yep.
into it and we're like, wait a second, I feel so
So
good mentally. And it then becomes such a spiritual experience. At least for me,
much.
recently, my favorite part of my juice fast was like my mind felt so still and clear, and I felt so connected, like synchronicities I was picking up that I otherwise aren't as in tune with.
Yeah.
And my dreams were so vivid, and like, it's almost like they were messages from God in my dreams rather than just dreaming things from like something that happened that day or whatever. So was this your experience? Did it become like a deep spiritual experience for you as well, especially 90
Yeah.
days?
Yeah, I did have panic attacks in the middle of the night. So I feel like it was trauma recalls, like
Wow.
old trauma coming up. So that part was a little nasty. It was a little dark, and it was like, wow, because it was happening every night at the same time in the middle of the night. And
Had you
so
had them before in life or no?
no, that's the thing. I never had it before.
Stop. No way.
No, I
I
never
wonder
had
if
it
you're like,
before.
I had them in the past and my electrolytes were off when I was having them. They were
Oh,
caused from electrolyte imbalance. Do you think like it was anything to do with like how
I'm
much, like,
pretty
were you
sure.
drinking like a ton of water
Oh
or
yeah, I was
something?
drinking.
Like
Well,
too
I,
much
I
water?
I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't drinking a ton of water. I wasn't drinking water at all unless I was working out, because I did work out my entire journey.
Yeah.
But I was drinking a lot of cucumber juice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't really taking in any water. But it was out of nowhere. It was to the point where I was, about to go and see a doctor, until it eventually kind of faded away.
Those are scary. I used to have those before my first daughter was born, or right after she was born, I guess, like 10 years ago. I haven't
Mhm.
had any since I went raw vegan. The
Mhm.
closest I had was once, like years ago, when I was doing coffee enemas. My
Yeah,
electrolytes were off and it felt like a panic attack was going to come, but it didn't. But those are terrifying. So that
they
still
are.
didn't throw you off. That didn't make you think, hey, I want to stop.
But I mentally told myself that everything was detox symptoms. And since I convinced myself of that, a lot of the things that were happening, I kind of pushed through. I kind of listen to my body as well. If I feel like something is really off, I feel like I would have gone to the doctor and figure it out. I will say I did get extremely dehydrated when I first started, because I wasn't drinking enough juice. A lot of people say drink, at minimum, 4 liters, right? So
I
I started.
drink like 8 of these large ones a day if I'm juicing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was drinking 4 liters, but I was finishing it before 5 p.m. And I wasn't drinking anything for the remaining of the day. And you have to factor in the time you're sleeping as well. So I was waking up dehydrated. It was so
Wow.
bad. And I was going to go to the emergency room, but I told myself, like, that's a lot of money. So let me just go to the hydration company. It was a hydration company called 𝑼𝑺𝑬 near me. So I went there and got the IV therapy there, an immunity pack. And I found that to be very helpful on my journey as well, because I would get my vitamin D and B12 shots there. So that was really helpful too, for those who are wondering if I supplemented. I did do the IV therapy, and anything that I took in as far as supplement goes, I made sure it was liquid, because I didn't want to take anything solid on my stomach.
I've
So
heard
that
those are
was.
amazing, the IV therapies.
Oh, it is amazing. It's the best thing that I feel like ever happened,
I should do
for a
that
lot of
for
people.
vitamin D because in Canada it's the winter now, and wow, interesting. I drink a lot of coconut water when I'm juice
Oh
fasting
yeah.
too. Like I get the coconuts from Chinatown, crack them open, and I make big jars. So I think that helps with the hydration, but I'm sorry you dealt with that.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah, so I learned my lesson. And then I was losing a lot of weight too, to the point where my face was like, drawn in, and I could see the bones in my chest. I didn't like that. So that's why that would make me increase my juice intake to about 6 liters.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And with all these negatives, would you say that the benefits still outweighed the negatives? Or like, are you
Yeah, the
still glad you did
benefits,
it or
yeah,
no?
the benefits outweighed. I'm just touching on the things like
No,
this
yeah.
so that people will know, because
It's
sometimes
good.
when you go through that, you will give up, and that's not the case. So keep in mind, I definitely, felt better physically as far as like the body aches that went away, the headaches faded away after month 1. And I would say also, you mentioned spirituality. I would say I went through this moment of wow, like I'm so amazed at what the body can do, because it's like when you get feedback from the doctors or you listen to other people like, oh, you shouldn't juice fast that long, or you could, hurt your, it was just so many different things. I can't even think of some of the things that I've heard, while documenting my journey. And so to get that far and you basically debunk everything everybody had to say, it was just amazing to me that all of our bodies are different. And I think you have to learn how your body works, and also exploring how to heal your body, because you can do it. It doesn't matter what health issues you have. It just made me realize that you can't put all your hopes and dreams into a doctor. Sometimes you
Mm.
are the doctor. Most times, I mean, you are the doctor. Only thing they can do is just basically tell you what's happening and assist you the best way they can with what they have. But ultimately, it's really your job to heal yourself.
Yeah. And so you guys
Yeah.
have to pay if you go to the doctor there. You were saying
Yeah.
we're lucky in Canada. If
Expensive.
I,
Hmm. Oh
before I
yeah,
started juicing, I was
Canada.
dealing with
Yeah.
something. I went to the ER
Mhm.
a couple times and I was like, I never get sick, but I went to the ER and fortunately we don't have to pay for it. Well, we do pay more taxes, I guess. But
Yeah.
so you guys have to pay. Is it expensive?
Oh
Like for
yeah.
a trip to the
Yeah.
ER? Wow.
Very expensive. Yes,
Wow.
it's very expensive. That's why, yeah, it's very expensive. And I spent so much money back in 2016 getting all of these tests to figure out what was wrong. And they just like, you have fibromyalgia. Well, that's it. So I spent all this money on MRIs. I was seeing a rheumatologist for my body aches. I was seeing a neurologist for the headaches. It was just, I was seeing all of these different doctors, like an ear, nose, and throat doctor, because my throat felt like it was tightening up. But all my results came back fine. And it was like no
Yeah.
one could tell me what was happening. And I spent so much, I lost so much money. But in
Yeah.
the US, it gets costly, and you can like really cause like financial issues in your life as well, as far as, and in addition to like health issues. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you feel like almost all of like the health issues you've been dealing with are gone? Like most of them now?
I would say, yeah. When I
Yeah.
got to day 90, I would say that it made me feel like I could have gone longer, that I should have gone longer. My body was up for it. That was the message I was receiving from my body, that I could have
Mhm.
gone, that I should have gone longer than 90 days. But I said I was going to take a break, give myself time to refeed. And I'm definitely going back on another juice fast. This is not the end. I'm going through the refeeding process and I'm diving back in. But yeah, I would say all of my health issues, I would say it's resolved. I would say
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And how did you break the juice fast? I know that's important. People have to be careful how they break it.
Yeah, I end up breaking it with homemade veggie broth.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
good.
So that's where I'm at now, because I just ended my fast like 3 days ago. So I've been drinking veggie broth. And another thing I would mention that I haven't heard anyone really speak on is that when you go on a prolonged juice fast, you're changing your lifestyle as well. It's just not about a diet. It's about a lifestyle. It's your daily schedule. It's the people
Mhm.
in your inner circle that you have to, kind of adjust a lot of different things in your life. So you're creating a new lifestyle, and it doesn't take long for you to get used to a new lifestyle. So
True.
while on this journey, it was really emotional for me when it ended, because now I have to change my lifestyle again to back to where it was, or creating a new one. So I think I'm in that weird stage right now in my life,
Mhm.
because I'm so used to, getting up at 5 a.m. I'm juicing, I'm juicing at night, I'm prepping. It was just like so much stuff that I was doing. And it's nerve-wracking, don't get me wrong, but it's
Mhm.
my lifestyle. And for me to have to like, you know, create something new now, a new daily schedule, it's uncomfortable. It feels like I'm doing something new, when in reality, the juice fast is the new thing.
Yeah. And were people around you supportive? How were things like socially and all that?
So socially, I stopped going to restaurants. I don't care, when friends would invite me out, I would not go to restaurants, because I know my temptation limit, and I know that I would want to order something. So I wouldn't go to restaurants. I had to cut off some friendships as well, because sometimes when you embark on a journey, some people are like more, judgmental. So I got a lot of judgment in the beginning. So I had to end a lot of relationships, which was for the better, to be
Mhm.
honest. And so, yeah, my social life changed, but I did have those supportive friends, because I did have a birthday while on this juice fast, and I felt like I wasn't going to be able to do anything, but it was like one of the best birthdays I ever had. So
Wow.
just the insight on how that went, I went to Sip and Paint, which there's no food temptation there. So they allow me to bring in my juices. So I was able to
Good.
drink juice while everybody else was drinking what they wanted to. They were very supportive there. Also, we took shots, but we took shots of things with ginger in it, cayenne pepper, because they're very strong. And
Yeah.
the goal was to make myself feel like I was taking a real shot. And they took shots with me as well, the ginger shots, the cayenne pepper shots. And it
Wow.
turned out to be an amazing time for my birthday. So you can juice through the holidays and your birthday and things like that. You just have to be creative. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be boring or anything like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what were a couple of your favorite juices?
My favorite juice, like now, well, closer to, I would say in month 3, I would
Yeah.
say the melons. I love honeydew, cantaloupe, watermelon, like all the melons. And I love mixing them with ginger, cucumbers. I love drinking cucumber juice for like hydration. I think it's the best way to hydrate the body. It's just my preference. I'm not a celery person.
Yeah.
I never took in any celery. And that's another thing. Like, a lot of people get on this journey and they look at the recipes people online are like sharing, and they feel like they have to drink celery juice. They have to drink certain types of vegetable juice or whatever. And they end up, cutting their juice fast short because they don't like the stuff that they're drinking. So I think it's very important to drink what you like. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? The juices that I took in were primarily fruit, which is why I was able to do cardio every day for the first 30 days. I was able to, do a lot of activities with my daughter. I was able to do so much, and everybody was like, "Where do you get your energy from?" And I was
Yeah.
just like, "My fruit." And I
Right.
don't see how you're able to get through a juice fast without fruit, because it gives you energy. And it's like, what's your source of energy if you're not taking in any fruit, or primarily fruit? Because it really will stick a dagger, in your day if you're not taking in a certain amount of fruit, in my opinion,
Me
because
too.
where's your energy coming from,
No, I love the fruit juice on a juice cleanse. I like
Yeah,
rotating, some green juice and some fruit juice and then just like
yeah.
switching it up. But yeah, the fruit juice does so much. And I'm wondering, is there anything you learned that looking back, if you were to start today, like any mistakes you made or anything you would do over if you were to start right now, again, like compared to back then?
I think I would have done more research on how much juice to drink. I
Hmm.
also probably, I think that would be the only thing. That was the only thing I was off on, how much juice to drink, because I didn't know for sure. I just dived in it,
I
and I
think
was,
that,
a lot of people say 4 liters. And so that's what I stuck with. And I found out that it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters how much juice you drink. It's very important. But at the same time, if you're finishing your juice early in the day and you're completed, with the, however many liters you're taking in, you still need to drink something for the remaining of the day. You're not done, because you have to factor in the time that you're sleeping. And when you wake up, you don't want to wake up dehydrated. So
no.
I would say focusing more on my juice intake, because it makes a major difference in, your detox symptoms as well. So if you're taking in less juice, you may experience more symptoms, not necessarily from detox symptoms, but because of dehydration, because you're
Yeah.
not getting enough juice or calories, in a sense. If you want to look at it from that perspective, I think I would highly recommend to taking at least 6 liters a day. That's just
Yeah.
my opinion on a prolonged juice fast. Now, if
Yeah.
it's shorter than, I would say, 30 days, yeah, you can stick with the 4 to 6, liters or whatever in between that range. But if you're going on a prolonged juice fast, especially if you don't want to lose weight, you need to be at 6 liters, like every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, the key to a juice fast is like feasting, not fasting, drinking a ton of juice.
Yes, ton of
But it's
juice.
great. I like how you've opened up about real things and been so honest because it's not always like rainbows and butterflies,
It's
It,
not,
yeah.
yeah, it's not
So,
always rainbows. Yeah.
yeah. And what juicer did you use? I know people always ask that.
Oh my God, everyone. wanted me to use the Nama juicer, right?
Yeah.
And I did not use it. I used I think it's called 𝑼𝑺𝑬 juicer.
Yeah.
And it cost me $136. Now, one thing I am big on, it does not matter how much money you have, anybody can juice. That's something I heavily promote, because when I was on a budget the first month, those weeks, I found a way to only spend $50 per week on a juice fast and still take in 6 liters. You know what I mean? So it really is up to you to be creative, to come up with a strategy, a cost saving strategy, to really be able to stick with your juice fast. I never budget my juice fast based on, everybody else's perspective on how much juice I should drink. I really just items based on how much money I'm able to spend on that week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of do the opposite. It's like, I need all of this, so I got to find a way to fit it in my budget. No, figure out what you can spend, for that week, and then purchase things that you can fit, into that amount. And I think that's what a lot of people mess up at on their juice fast, and spend all of this money because you're trying to keep up with someone else who's in a different tax bracket, to be honest.
Absolutely. True.
Yeah,
Good point. And I think with the juicer, if people want a juice, but they can't afford one, you can always check Kijiji and Craigslist. I remember way back when, that's when I got one. Or you can ask a friend to borrow one. And then that sounds like a great deal you got too. Right now I use the Nama. I just started using the Nama on this juice fast recently. I freaking love it. So if it is in your budget, the Nama is really good too. But it all depends where you're at. Yeah. So I'll put a code down below if you guys want to save on the Nama though. It's really good, but just juicing is like changes your life. And so I want to ask too, as far as the budget goes, a lot of people think it's because you were just talking about the budget and money. A lot of people think juicing is just so expensive. Are you willing to share like how much you spent roughly around each week on it or whatever?
Now I spend about $220, only because I'm very creative with what I buy. So I do shop at Aldi. And it's like the cheapest grocery store you could ever shop at in America, I know. And also the melons. So the melons produce the most juice at the lowest cost. So why would you go and purchase all of these apples and oranges? Don't get me wrong, they're very healthy, but they don't produce juice, and the cost is the same as one huge melon that can give you close to a gallon. Like a family-sized watermelon can give you close to a gallon.
I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you really have to be creative with what you buy. Don't go for all the apples, the oranges, the pomegranates, because those things don't produce that much juice. Also, the cucumbers. I used to use a lot of cucumbers as my base, but when I would do my Go Green juices, which is my veggie juices, I would take all my veggies and juice them. I would use cucumbers as my base, which would add up. So instead of me using cucumbers on weeks that I didn't have money like that, I would use water. And it's no different, especially if you're drinking your juice within 24 hours. You can use water as your base. You don't have to use cucumbers. You will get the same results. As long as the nutrients, is there from your vegetables. The extra juice to me is really for the hydration. It's not necessarily the nutrients, if you think about it. And you can overload your body with nutrients as well. But as long as you're taking in the daily recommended amount of nutrients, you can really use water as your base to just get that gallon or 6 liters. You really can. And I've done it, with my vegetable juices that wasn't really, because, vegetables don't produce that much juice. So I would use water as my base. So at this point, I'm able to financially, use all primarily fruit without using water. But still, sometimes with my vegetable juice, I do use water as my base.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good tip. That is one thing I noticed with the Nama too, because like I said, I got it recently. It's like way less pulp and way more juice. I'm like, what the heck? And the pulp, it's like barely any pulp. It's all dry and clean.
It comes out slowly and very dry.
And you get so much more juice. I'm like, what is going on? They spent apparently like 3 years making it. It's like next level. So yeah, I'm so excited because I just got it recently. So I'm like, this is crazy.
Which one do you have? You have the J2?
I got the J2, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I interviewed Joe Cross. He's the guy that did the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead.
Yeah.
And so he's one of the creators of the Nama. I didn't know that until the interview.
Oh, that's amazing. I can't wait to get one. I don't have one. By the time I really heard a lot about it, I was already close to my 90-day mark. And I was so used to my juicer at that point. And I've already been spending so much money on fruits and vegetables. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to finish off with my juicer that I have.
No, and it
But
works. So that's great.
it just proves that you can really use what you have to
Yeah,
really get through it,
100%.
even with a blender. Now, I never done the blender method, but you know, just straining your juice, blending it and straining your juice, or using I think it's called
The
a
cloth.
milk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The milk
using
bag.
that. Yeah,
Or
I mean, don't get me wrong, it will cause you to spend more time in the kitchen, but at the same time, at least you could still do it. You know what I mean?
yeah, I actually prefer to make my watermelon juice in the blender, not the juicer.
Oh,
I don't know if you've
really?
done that. It's so
No,
easy. Just
I
cube it
haven't.
up, throw it in, blend it, and then it's juice because it's so watery. It's not a
Yeah, it
smoothie. It's
is.
like you just
Yeah,
strain it and it's juice. It's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Well,
I-
this has been so awesome. I've loved chatting with you, sharing your story, like the good and the bad. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering to end off if there's anything else you feel like you would want to share about your experience. And also, if you could let everybody know where to find you, that would be great as well. And I will link everything down below.
The advice I just want to tell everybody, like, if you are wanting to start a juice fast, like, just start, like, just go in with the mentality of never giving up. Because when I started my journey, I told myself I would never give up. It doesn't matter what happens. Like, even if you feel that you need to go to the doctor to get your blood work done while you're on a juice fast, they will tell you if something wrong is wrong. You don't have to like sit and wonder like if you're getting sicker. They will tell you, because sometimes symptoms doesn't really equate to being sick. It just shows that your body is doing something. So
Mhm.
sometimes you may, you know, if you feel more comfortable going to the doctor, you can, but that's not a sign of you saying something is wrong, let me give up, you know, especially if a doctor didn't tell you something was wrong. You're assuming at that point, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because it really truly could be detox symptoms. So I would say just never give up. If you want to do it, just do it. Never give up, and stay motivated. And you know, whoever you have in your life that's not supporting you, you may temporarily need to walk away from them and invite people that are going to support you. Like I said, I got a lot of my support from YouTube, which is crazy because I didn't think that people would be that invested in my journey. And I mean, encouraging words every single day, to the point
Amazing.
where it's like I cannot give up. They are like looking at me like I cannot give up on this juice fast. So they help a lot, you know, when I started my journey. But you can find me on YouTube. I'm also an author of the book The Vegan Fight. It's on Amazon. I
Amazing.
wrote my book when I turned vegan back in 2016.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
this has been so awesome, Whitney. And yeah, everybody go follow Whitney. I will link everything down below, her
Okay.
channel and her book, everything. And to the viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up right now. And make sure to subscribe if you don't already for more great videos just like this one. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.